everybody. I hope you're doing all right. Hope you're okay. Thank you for joining me today. As you know, it's World Mental Health Day today, and in recognition of that, we've got a really special guest with us today, a lady called Haleema, who's got an incredible and unique journey and stories to tell us. And she will be joining us, I believe, any time now as we use the magic of technology. Shows you my battered up old iPhone. Let me see. Bear with me a second, guys. I think.
Hi,
Hi, Haleema, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Cool, I'm good, thanks. Can you hear me okay and everything?
Everything sounds perfect, yeah.
Awesome. Oh, cool. Well, thank you, Haleema, for joining us today. It's a real pleasure for us to have you involved and everything. So thank you
Thank you.
very much. Now, reading a little bit about you, and I understand you're what I read, I think somewhere, you're a mental health coach, advocate, perhaps. Have I got that right?
So, a mental health advocate and a support coach.
Right, brilliant. Thank you. Just wondered if you could just give us an idea what that actually means, what that looks like for you and in the work that you do. If you
Yeah,
don't mind.
so in regards to the advocate side of it, what I do is I advocate for mental health awareness. So I talk a lot about awareness, the importance of speaking openly about issues. Most of my work pre-COVID was public events and whatnot. So I used to speak at a lot of events. I used to go onto some public media platforms and then we would talk about specific topics surrounding mental health, where I would talk about my story and I would use that as a way to then educate people in regards to, again, the specific topic that we were focusing on. In regards to the actual coaching side of it, what I do is I support people to maintain positive mental health, or we, depending on the person's specific issues or their specific needs, we, tailor things like their routine or their habits to create better mental health in their lives. So there's a variety of different types of work that I do. A lot of my awareness is done on social media now as well. So it involves a lot of content creating, coming up with ideas, and then collaborations with people such as yourself to, again, increase the awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds fantastic. And can I ask? I mean, we've been doing this on Make Mental Health Positive. We've probably been doing this for a few years now, but it's only really in the last, I guess, few months really. Coincidentally, probably ties in quite a lot with COVID itself. But I mean, we've really sort of picked up and started to, I don't know, really kind of branch out, I think now, and something that's gathering pace. I mean, how long, could I ask how long you've been doing this and
Yeah,
how it
so
sort of came about, dare I ask?
so we'll go to like my story, and that will like lead on to obviously
Right.
how I ended up doing it. So
Yeah.
I had mental health issues from way back when I was a child. So I experienced various different experiences in life, different traumas that triggered bad mental health. So depression, anxiety, PTSD, self-harming, and then only recently I realized some symptoms of ADHD as well. Obviously came about in my life, and those issues grew vastly because of my lack of awareness and my family's lack of awareness and everybody's lack of awareness that was around me. Obviously you don't pick up on these things, you don't realize that they're alarming. So my issues started to get worse as time went on. They started to get more complex, and between the ages of 17 to 24 I did try to take my life 4 times. 3 of those were active attempts, and the last one was the only one where I actually followed through with the intention of not making it. And when I had followed through with that attempt, I was sectioned. I was in a mental health unit for a week. And when I came out of the mental health unit, I really was not happy with the care that I was being given. It was making me worse. It wasn't helping me in any way whatsoever.
Right.
And it took me a few weeks to realize it, but I realized eventually that if I'm going to get better, I have to do it on my own, because again, no one knows me better than I do, right? And
Yeah.
I need to be the person to take action. And I was finally in a place where I was ready to get better, so I wasn't in my self-sabotaging state anymore. So that's why I knew it was okay and it was healthy for me to take charge of my own recovery. And it's not something that, you know, you hear often of somebody doing it all by themselves, and it was very risky of me to do that. But it paid off. You know, I literally sat down, I created my own recovery plan for myself. And then after a few months, I started to document the things that I was doing, and I started to document my breakthroughs and anything that I was learning. And then when I started going out to public events and learning things, I used to start, you know, including that education as well. And as the more and more I was doing that on my social media, people started to reach out to me. I started to get messages from people saying, you know, what you're saying is really helping me, or you inspired me to do this, or thank you for posting this. And that's when, you know, that was, it was 2018 in the summertime. That was when I came out of the hospital, and that's when my recovery started. So it wasn't even that long ago.
No, definitely.
It's only been a couple of years. So it's like, I feel like it's been a lifetime, but when you look at it, it's actually not been that long. And so my awareness and my advocacy, that started mid 2018. It wasn't until about a year later, when I had my second appearance on Sky News, the responses that I was getting from that interview that I did made me realize that I could really do something with what I'm doing, because all I was doing was just raising awareness, and I was just talking about mental health, and you know, people were just inviting me to come onto their platforms and talk, and it was just something I was doing because I was passionate about it, and I really wanted to help people the same way that I was helping myself. But it was only then that I realized that I could do something with this, and if I dedicate my life and my work to mental health, I'll really be fulfilling a void in my life. And that's when the support side of it started. And then it wasn't until lockdown, actually. It's funny, lockdown, you know, it was something that I looked as a negative at the beginning, but it turned out to really, really work in my favor. It really gave me the opportunity to sit down and turn it into a business. And it was only this year that I actually physically started to actively support people and actively coach people and create products and services people can actually use, instead of just reading my social media.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. I think something you mentioned at the start there, how you said you kind of almost navigated your own way eventually when you could see that perhaps what you were being offered wasn't really going to be beneficial to you to begin with.
Yeah.
And I think just from my own experience, again, you know, I think it's clear really that everybody is unique, aren't they? And everybody's an individual. And with all the best intentions, sometimes it's very, very hard to sort of get like I guess a textbook kind of solution to individuals with such complex difficulties, you know. And I think I think it's obviously worked really well for you. I mean, I think one of the other things I'd like to ask, if you don't mind, Haleema, I mean, it sounds like over these last couple of years then that things really have kind of picked up for you. And
definitely,
obviously, I've watched quite a few of your videos now, and they all seem really, really positive, and you seem very kind of bright and well. Can I ask how you are these days? And
I'm the best that I've ever been. It's crazy to even think about that or say it, because the issues that I had were very complex. And even my doctors, like they said to me that based on the plans that they had made, they said it would take years for me to even show slight progress. And looking back at how I was then compared to how I am now, there's no way that I would have been at this position now had I stayed there and followed their process. Because the work that I did with myself was so intense, and that's why the recovery happened so quickly. But it was the things that I was focusing on. I focused a lot on myself rather than the people around me and the situations around me. And when you do the inner work on yourself, that's when the big change really happens. Because so much like changes. I could literally go on about it forever, like the intricacies and the little details of what you need, the work that you need to do on yourself and how it benefits you. But trust me when I say that when you take a look at yourself and you block out everything else around you, that's when the magic happens. And for me, that's why 2 years on, I've been able to heal some of the most complex issues and some of the most complex traumas that you would think on paper it would take years to fix. And even I thought it would take years to fix, but it's taken me only, 1.5 to 2 years because of the mindfulness approach that I took to it.
Yeah. And knowing yourself, I guess, better than anyone else knows you.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's like I'm genuinely healthy, healthier than I've ever been. And I don't ever get triggers like I used to. I don't have the issues that I used to have. And, going back out into the real world and being around friends, family, working environments, I've physically been able to see how different I am and how different I show up in the world and how differently I respond to real life situations compared to how I was before. So it's proof that, it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you manage with everything that's going on there? I guess things are quite hectic. Do you manage your sort of day-to-day mental well-being and health? Is that all kind of quite falling into place? Is it quite straightforward?
Yeah, so obviously it's like the beginning of lockdown, because I tend to be like, before COVID, I was out and about quite a lot. And so the adjustments I had to make, I found it a bit difficult at the beginning because it was new to me, and it's totally normal to struggle at a time like this because going through a pandemic, it's not some small issue. There's so many changes and there's so many things we have to adjust to. So it took me a few weeks to really change the way that my day-to-day routine was going in a way that would still complement my mental health. And the way that I did that was I just had a look at the things that I used to do before COVID. And I asked myself, why did I used to do these things? Like, what benefit did they have on me? And instead of looking at the things that I did, I looked at the feelings that I gained from doing those things. And I thought, okay, now with the current restrictions that we have, how can I still achieve these feelings whilst, following the guidelines and keeping myself safe and keeping my family safe and things like that? And that's how I adjusted. And, it didn't happen overnight. It took me a while. I implemented things. Some things didn't work. I had bad days where I just wasn't feeling good. But eventually, with trial and error, I managed to create a new routine for myself. And then for the rest of lockdown, I was absolutely fine. In fact, I probably flourished in so many ways, and my career generally enhanced so much more during lockdown than it did beforehand because of the changes that I'd made. So I feel like, it's easy for us to use this as a way to, limit us and let it get the better of us. But we don't have to. There are ways that you can still come out of this situation healthily.
Yeah, I think there's not a lot we can do about it at the moment. No one really knows where it's going. So I think, dare I say it, it's something that it's here at the moment. Let's try and make the best of the time, extra time it perhaps gives us, isn't it? But
just focus on the things that we can control rather than the things that we can't. That's what make your mental health even worse if you sit there trying to figure out how to solve the problems that you have no control over. Like, I don't have control over when this pandemic is going to finish, but what I do have control over is what I can do to keep myself happy until it does.
Absolutely, yeah. A certain amount of acceptance, isn't it, I think, and then, as I say, then ownership of how you're going to deal with the situation. Haleema, I will leave you in peace. Thank you so very much for this. We're so grateful. I know I can speak for the whole of the Making Mental Health Positive team. We were all chuffed to bits when you agreed to do this. So
thank you so much for asking me.
Oh, honestly, you're very well, and take good care, and thanks very much again, Haleema.
You too. Thank you.
All the best. Cheers.
See you. Bye.
Bye.